What's up? In this video I'm gonna do a review of the book Fluency Made Easy by Ikenna. Ikenna is a polyglot and a YouTuber with almost 900,000 subscribers, and he speaks like 8 languages. The book is about language learning, of course. Sort of a guide about how to learn a language. So, without further ado, let's jump into the review. Right from the beginning, the foreword of the book promises something really big. And that's that if we apply what's in the book, we'll be able to learn any language in a fun and efficient way without wasting our money or time on methods that are not efficient, not fun, and simply overrated. The book says that if we apply what's in the book, we'll be able to speak any language that we want to speak, no doubt about it. With that said, let's explore the rest of the book. In the first chapter, the author of the book talks about why he decided to write the book in the first place. In this day and age, we have so much information at our disposal that sometimes it's difficult to choose in which direction to go. So, having been in that situation himself, he decided to write a guide that would help us navigate this world of language learning and point us in the right direction. So yeah, basically his idea was that, to help people who want to learn languages navigate this sea of information about language learning and arrive at a destination that could help them learn any language that they want. In the second chapter, Ikenna talks about how he discovered the world of language learning. And that actually happened while he was watching anime. So he was watching an anime and Japanese got his attention. So he wanted to learn the language and explore more about Japanese culture and the language itself. So he started learning Japanese, and the first language that he learned was actually Japanese. So after that, he saw various opportunities come his way, and he started exploring other cultures and languages. He started to see how cool it is to be able to understand other languages, other cultures. So little by little, he started adding more languages under his belt. In the third chapter, he debunks some of the most common myths about language learning. This chapter is all about making you realize your potential to learn languages, because all of us can learn languages, but some of us are not conscious about that. So it's crucial to get rid of all the limiting beliefs about language learning that we may have, and this chapter is dedicated to that. Those myths that he debunks are: language learning is difficult, only kids are good at learning languages. You need too much time to learn a language. You're not sufficiently intelligent to learn a language. The next chapter explains what the method consists of. And there are 3 stages of the method: the input stage, the output stage, and the refinement stage. In the input stage, we should focus on having contact with the language as much as possible. So consuming the language is the main goal here. And yeah, that should lead us to understanding the language, and when we understand the language, then we'll be ready to move on onto the next stage. And this stage, the input stage, lasts between 4 and 7 months for the easy languages, from 7 to 9 months for the medium difficulty languages, and from 9 to 12 months for the difficult languages. This stage is reminiscent of how we learned our mother tongue. So we should expose ourselves to the language as much as possible, which will eventually lead us to understanding the language, which is crucial in order for us to be able to develop other language skills. In the output stage, we should practice how to express ourselves in the language. So yeah, as the name indicates, the main goal of the output stage is to learn how to produce the language. And then we have the refinement stage, which is for those who wanna get to the highest level possible in the language that they are learning. The next part of the book explores the method in more depth. So we are told what to do in each stage of the method, and what resources we should use. This part of the book illustrates the importance of comprehensible input when it comes to language learning. It highlights the importance of consuming the language through various media like movies, books, podcasts, series, whatever. The next part of the book is dedicated to the resources that we should use if we are following this method. And the first recommended resource is Pimsleur. Pimsleur is an audio program, and every Pimsleur lesson consists of a conversation between two people. So every lesson is a conversation between two people, and by the end of the lesson we should be able to understand what they were talking about. So that's how Pimsleur works, and in this method Pimsleur is like an introduction to the language that you're learning. So that's the idea with Pimsleur in this method. And after Pimsleur comes a simile, which, as the author says, is the main resource if you're following this method. And yeah, it's basically like the meat and potatoes of the method. And I agree that it's a great book. It's a great resource. I actually have the book because I used it for learning Spanish and it helped me a great deal. So if you want, we can take a look at it. So this is what the book looks like. On one side you have a text in the language that you're learning. Here we can see that it's in Spanish. And on the other side you have the same text in the language in your mother tongue. So in this case, this is Serbian, my native language. And yeah, we have these funny looking drawings, and then yeah, we have some exercises. So as you can see, ejercicio here, some notes here, and yeah, these are the exercises in the book. The third resource is Glossica. Glossica is a program that I personally have never used, but from what I've seen, it seems like a great program because it is designed in the way that it exposes you to many sentences, many words in different contexts. It for sure can be a helpful tool in your arsenal of language learning tools. These three resources, alongside the input that you should be receiving from the day one, is what the input stage consists of. And when it comes to the output stage, the resource recommended for that is Italki. Italki is a website where you can find tutors and professors of languages. And yeah, doesn't matter what language you're learning, you can virtually find tutors for any language in the world. And yeah, if you want to learn a specific accent, you can find tutors from a specific country or even from a specific city. So that's very helpful. This period lasts between 2 and 4 months, and by the end of that period, you should reach what Ikenna calls conversational fluency. And his definition of conversational fluency is the ability to understand the great majority of what you hear and being able to express the great majority of what you want to say with relatively low effort. Everyone can have their own definition of what being conversationally fluent means, but I think that Ikenna's definition is a pretty good level to aim at. And the great thing about reaching that level is that if you get there, you're basically never gonna forget a language. And as I said, the refinement stage is for people who wanna get to the highest level possible in their language. And the book recommends things like traveling to the country where the language is spoken, consulting a grammar book, or finding a professor to work with you on the specific aspects of the language and stuff like that. Basically, the main thing here is to be conscious about the parts of your knowledge that need improvement and then to work on them. The next part of the book answers the question why this method even works. And it works because it's fun. And it's fun because it's based on comprehensible input. And because it's based on comprehensible input, it cannot not be fun. Because we have the absolute freedom to choose whatever content we want to use and use that to acquire the language that we want to learn. Basically, that freedom that we have if we are following a method based on comprehensible input is what makes it fun. And if it's fun, we'll want to do it. And that's the secret sauce of this method. And that, combined with the resources recommended in the book, is what's going to make us progress in the language. The next part of the book talks about the price that we'll have to pay in order to learn a language. Because everything in this life, unfortunately, has its price, including language learning. So Ikenna says that to get to conversational fluency in a language, we'll need about $200 to $350, and that includes everything. So all the resources recommended, all the italki sessions, so everything recommended in the book. And besides that, this part of the book also talks about other resources that we can use to replace the recommended ones, the ones that are paid if we don't have the money, or if we can't get them for any reason. The next question answered in the book is how much time do we need to dedicate to language learning each day if we successfully want to learn a language. And Ikenna says that for him, the sweet spot is from 30 to 60 minutes for studying, which is basically using the resources recommended in the book, plus comprehensible input as much as we can. The main topic in the rest of the book is how to overcome struggles related to language learning, like when we are low on motivation, of if we think that we don't have time, and stuff like that. Basically, throughout our language learning journey, we're gonna encounter various obstacles, so how to overcome them is one of the main questions in the rest of the book. Also, this part of the book covers various common questions about language learning, like can you learn two languages at the same time, or which is the easiest language in the world, and stuff like that. Now, what I think about the book, if you're interested in that. So I actually think that it's a great book because its method is based on comprehensible input, which I think is the key for acquiring a language. Because in order to acquire a language, we need to have contact with the language, we need to expose ourselves to the language, because actually a great deal of acquiring a language happens subconsciously. So because of that, it's key to have the language that you're learning in your daily life. It's crucial to place it in your life as something that you do regularly, that you consume regularly. Because of that, I think that it's a great method. And the testimony of me believing in this method is that my own language learning method is actually inspired by this method. So first I form a base of knowledge using various resources that will later allow me to jump into the pool of content in that language that I'm learning. So I don't necessarily agree with the resources mentioned in the book. I think that they are great resources, but yeah, depending on the language, I may choose different ones. For example, I really like using language transfer or Busu. So if there is the language that I'm learning available on those apps, I probably gonna use them. And for example, I used Pimsleur for Japanese, I used Assimil for Spanish, and I have never used italki nor Glossica, but yeah, I can see why someone would use these resources. So yeah, in general, I agree with the method. My philosophy when it comes to language learning is that you can use any resource, and if it takes you from not knowing anything in the language to being able to consume the language, to have contact with the real language, then it's good. It's acceptable in my book. So that's my philosophy when it comes to language learning. and that's my take on it. The only thing that I don't agree with is that we can for certain say in what period of time is someone going to learn a language. I think that we can't guarantee that, and yeah, that's my only objection, because I think that it varies greatly depending on various factors, like depending on the person, depending on the language they're learning, depending on the resources that they're using. There are so many things that are going to influence in what period of time is someone going to learn a language. Yeah, you can say approximately, but I think that it's better to have a healthier outlook on it. Like, you need to enjoy the process, you need to strive to always improve with time, but you don't have to obsess with the results. You don't have to obsess in what period of time are you going to learn the language and with other questions like that. So that's my only objection, but I think in general the book is great, and yeah, I think that if you're someone who is interested in learning languages, the book is worth $20. So I'm gonna leave the link in the description. This video is absolutely not sponsored or something like that. I don't have an affiliate link, so if you're interested, I am just gonna leave the link in the description in the case that someone is interested in checking out the book. So that's it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, drop a like and subscribe to the channel, because on this channel I'll be talking about language learning. So if you're interested in that, then become a part of this hopefully strong and wholesome language learning community. I hope to see you in the next video.